Donald Trump once again on the attack. And some of you may be saying, that's great. Others may be rolling their eyes and saying, tell us what's new. But it is very interesting to see particularly what happened here. In speaking with Rolling Stone magazine, the billionaire presidential candidate went after former HP CEO and GOP candidate for president, Carly Fiorina. She is also, I should let you know, a cancer survivor. He said, quote, look at that face. Would anyone vote for that? Can you imagine that? The face of our next president. That was last night on the Kelly Factor, the Kelly File, actually, is what the name of the show is called. Carly Fiorina responded. Listen.
I'm not going to spend a single cycle wondering what Donald Trump means, but maybe, just maybe, I'm getting under his skin a little bit because I am climbing in the polls.
She's taking the high road, of course. But, people begin to wonder how many more of these comments does Donald Trump take and make before he starts to look really unpresidential? Apparently, the polls still show that he is very well liked. Now, on Fox and Friends, he did confirm that, quote, he probably did say something like that and then went after her record as CEO of Hewlett-Packard. Here's that.
She destroyed jobs. She destroyed the stock price. The company went to hell. They walked her out. She got fired. And if you look at her before Hewlett-Packard, she was at a company called Lucent. That was a bigger disaster, I believe, than Hewlett-Packard.
So let's bring in our two pundits to talk about this and the other candidates that are making waves. Ron Christie is our Republican strategist, and we also have Steve Murphy. He's our Democratic strategist. Ron, let me give this to you as the Republican. I really don't even know what to say at this point about comments like that, because to me, they have nothing to do with the actual issues at hand that matter to America, like the economy, like ISIS. There is no discussion of the plan for that. It's just simply look at Carly Fiorina's face. And again, one could argue incredibly insensitive and outrageous, considering she's a cancer survivor and she's got more energy than most people who've never had cancer. So I'm wondering, at what point do you and your GOP team and friends and family say, this really isn't going to work as a candidate?
Well, good afternoon, Liz. I'm there right now. I mean, are you kidding me? I served with Carly Fiorina on a board for the last several years until she decided to run for president, and I can't imagine a more accomplished, a more thoughtful, a nicer person than Carly Fiorina. You can disagree with her politically, but what Mr. Trump has said and what Mr. Trump is doing is not only making himself look bad, make himself look like a bully, but I think it's also tarnishing the image of the GOP, and it's enough time for the amateur hour. He needs to go.
Steve, we're looking at all of these polls, though, and what do we see? He's leading in the latest Fox poll of GOP field people here. Ben Carson's second, but not really close. You can flip it over and see that there are other polls where he just continues. The Monmouth GOP poll, Trump has 30%, Ben Carson 18%, Bush is a distant third, and then Ted Cruz. I mean, the Democrats sit back and they may laugh about this, but clearly this guy is trending.
He's absolutely trending. And listen, rational Republicans like Ron, sure, they want him to go. But the far right base of the Republican Party that agrees with Donald Trump that we should deport 10 million people from this country, spend $500 billion doing it. They don't care what he says. He zoomed up on day one when he started trashing Latinos. He's continued to do it. He's the only Republican who will say, I'm going to throw out not only all the illegal immigrants, but I'm going to throw out their children, too, who are American citizens. So they don't care what he says about Carly Fiorina or Megyn Kelly or anybody else, as long as he's with them on keeping their America.
Okay, let's bring up Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders is what some people might consider a long shot. He now, in both the Iowa and New Hampshire latest polls, is beating Hillary Clinton. What happens there?
You know, first of all, the polls right now, and I'm sure this will give hope to Ron about Donald Trump, polls right now do not mean very much. You know, 8 years ago at this point in time, Hillary was well ahead in Iowa, and people were wondering whether Obama was ever going to, take off or not, which he did a couple months later. Look, I believe Hillary's going to win in Iowa. I think Bernie Sanders is going to be a real tough candidate for her in New Hampshire because he's from Vermont. He's a favorite son candidate. But Hillary is going to be the Democratic nominee. The base of this party, the bulk of the party kicks in after those two atypical states, and Hillary's going to dominate there.
Ron, we just had Steve say the bulk of this party. Listen, the bulk of voters haven't woken up yet. We may sit there and think because we talk about it 24/7 in cable that everybody's listening and watching. Some people aren't even aware just yet. When they do become aware, who really comes forward? Is it a Hillary over a Donald Trump as sort of the lesser of two, I don't want to say evils because that's not fair at all. Neither of them is evil, but sort of both are questioned as to whether they're very presidential at this point.
Well, I think that's exactly right. I think now that Labor Day is behind us, kids have gone back to school, football starts today, people are also going to start taking a look at what's going on in the political process. I think that Trump's numbers will go down. If you look at his website, he doesn't really have anything strong from a policy perspective, and I think Americans want more meat and potatoes with their policy and their politics. And Hillary Clinton has the problem of trustworthiness. If you look, people say, well, I don't think I trust her. I'm not sure if I like her. And I think that really does something good for a guy like Bernie Sanders, who is doing remarkably well because people think he's authentic and means what he says.
Well, it's great to have both of you, and I have mixed emotions about even talking about the latest, insults that are thrown around here because it doesn't have much to do with what I hope our viewers care about. So hopefully we'll get to that point where we can really focus on the issues. It's great to see you both. Steve, Ron, we'll have you back. Thanks.